Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back. We got another great episode and training for you today. Something I put a lot of thought into. You guys have seen us kind of post these almost like this progressive or even aggressive perspective on building your blue collar business. One of the questions I get asked a lot, honestly, is about the CEO to ownership to the guy who's kind of like working inside of the business still. And I'm sure at many times have heard that old adage about if you're still working in your business, you don't really have a business, you have a high paying job. And I want to kind of discuss with you, and at least again, I always give it to you guys from my own perspective, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what this training is all about. Is I'm only just giving it to you from what I've had experience dealing with and how I've built my business from zero to where it is now. Now, I run a more mechanical style business, but it doesn't matter. If you're in construction, if you're an electrician, if you're anybody and you're starting from zero, 99.9% of the time you're starting as a lone operator or you have a business partner, which is how we started. And obviously when you first start your business, it's very hard to take the job title out of what it is that you do on an everyday basis, because obviously you're starting from zero. Maybe you have zero customers at this point. Maybe you have, obviously in a lot of cases, you're not going to have any employees yet. And so you're starting at that ground level. And when you're at that ground level, obviously your business is going to need and require a lot of your time and expertise, which is basically how it went for me. I spent about 10 years in the business before I ever started my own company. So I had built a lot of knowledge and I had built a little bit of a customer base, but that customer base didn't transfer over to the company right away. And some of them didn't transfer over at all. So when we first started GMAC, I was out in the field every single day. We did everything top to bottom. I had outsourced a little bit of plumbing jobs, but we did some plumbing jobs in-house. When we had service calls, we did them in-house. When I had to do preventative maintenance and clean boilers, we did it ourselves. So obviously everybody's situation is a little bit different, but in most cases, when you're going to start your business out of the gate, it's going to be you running it, and you're going to have to figure out a way as time evolves to phase yourself out. And when I say phase yourself out, everybody's a little bit different. Me, I'm still owner operator, and what I mean by that is I still do service calls at times, but I have gotten myself to a point now with the team that we have in place where I've been able to kind of fade myself out. And I don't mean that I don't work, right? Because I don't know if you're watching this right now, maybe you're the type of person that wants to build it to a point where maybe now you don't have to put effort into it anymore. I don't know. Me, I'm not that way. I'm still very much involved in my day-to-day business, but there's a lot of back-end stuff that has to be done, and there's a lot of front-end stuff that has to be done, like meeting new customers, meeting new clients, utilizing social media, as I've discussed with you guys in the past, building this brand, and working towards whatever that end game is. And again, to each person, it's a little bit different. To me, it could be 20 years from now, could be 15 years from now, could be 10 years from now, but I'm always working towards an end game. And I had a mentor years ago tell me, and it's something I live by, that I have always worked my business with the mindset of I am building my business to sell. Does that mean I'm selling my business? No, it's not. But what it means is from front to back, we are consistently building the tools and building the necessary steps, so SOPs, right? We're building the back end of the company. We have a system in place for jobs that we're sending out for billing. So it's like you got to create a list from top to bottom of all the things that are going on inside of your company. And as you go about that list, you're checking boxes off of what it is that you handle and what are you starting to outsource, right? Because the bigger the company is going to get, you're going to have office staff. You're going to eventually have people in the field handling a lot of the work, right? Plumbing work. If you're a service technician, service work. If you're an electrician, electrical work, whatever. Again, everything I talk about has a parallel to every business that you might be in. But it's super important in the beginning to really put forth a lot of effort. And I'm being straightforward with you guys. When I first started the company, I fell short in a lot of the building of the tools because I was mostly just a grunt, man. Like I went out there, I was always a blue collar guy, working with my hands, getting dirty was normal to me. So going out and putting forth the efforts into that area of my business was what was important to me. And it wasn't until time evolved a little bit and I saw the evolution and I saw the team growing, and then also pouring into those guys so those guys have the ability to eventually get myself to a point where I could eliminate myself from being the day-to-day guy out in the field. So, and that's the next thing I kind of want to talk to you about. As you continuously grow and grow and grow, you're going to be in a position to take people under your wing and you're going to train them. And our process has basically gone where I take time out of my day. I got to take sometimes 2 years it took to take guys under my wing, teach them all the things I know while still teaching, obviously, till this day. And then eventually what happens is the next guy comes in and I stick him with that guy. And so now that guy who I taught is teaching the next guy, and so on and so on and so on. You're seeing a little bit of a pattern here, right? And again, you guys have heard me say this a million times. You're never going to see a whiteboard behind me. I'm not a whiteboard guy, okay? I know some guys thrive on whiteboards. I definitely am big on writing stuff down. I'm big on note-taking. I'm big on growth in that way. But I'm also a visual touch and feel kind of guy, as opposed to looking at it on a whiteboard and trying to figure out how I'm going to do this and this and this and strategize. I think it's right. No offense to the people that do that, but to me, it's the grassroots stuff that you're doing every single day. It's the taking the guy under your wing. It's teaching them and not being afraid to teach all the things that you've learned. Because ideally, in the end, it's taking the guy that's behind you and allowing him to do the thing that you've always been doing. And now, at about we're like 6 years and a few months into this business now. And I can safely say that a far majority of my guys have the ability to handle a lot of the jobs. Now, are there opportunities for me to still step out and take care of it? A lot of it in reality is customer relations, because that's another big part of your business. How are you building relationships with the customers that you have, and how are you training the guys enough that when you step out of the boiler room, that those or whatever job that you have, are those guys doing an efficient enough job to fill your shoes? And that's really what's most important, is because you're basically training people to be you. So if you have office staff, the person who's doing all the office work has to be able to teach the office staff all the things that they do. So now you have somebody mimicking the things that you do, and vice versa. So I'm out in the field, I gotta teach this guy. Now if he's not efficiently teaching the next guy, I gotta step in and make sure we are. And then over time we build a team. So it's the same thing with the plumbing side, right? For me, like I said, I have a boiler burner company, so we do service and we do plumbing. On the plumbing side, I had my first guy who was really knowledgeable, and I had a younger guy that I stuck with him. That guy stuck with him for 2 years, a year and a half, learned all the stuff that guy taught him. I was able to take that guy, put him into another truck, right? Then the next guy went with the other guy, now another guy goes with this guy. So now that guy's teaching this guy's teaching that guy, and all the way down the hill we go, and in teaching and passing down knowledge, and then you multiply, and then you get to a point where you can pluck yourself out of the day-to-day going to work, right? And now you can work on building the back end of the company. Eventually, because I'm honestly even still not there right now, but I'm pretty close, where I can remove myself from the day-to-days and focus on the growth of the company, right? Eventually, we will get to a point where I don't have to be here at all, outside of maybe answering a phone call to a customer, and my guys are all handling everything they're supposed to, and now my hands are basically off the business, and it's kind of automated. And that's the point we're trying to get to. But you cannot do it without starting at point A, and point A is you putting yourself infusing yourself into your company and doing all the things the company needs to help it grow. And then when you start taking people on, because your client list is growing, you take guys under your wing and you teach them. You cannot be afraid to share your knowledge with other people. I have too many times in the time that I've been in all of these different, because I used to build houses as well, and I was around all these old timers, and for whatever reason they were afraid to teach the younger generation. I think at that time they were afraid of guys taking their jobs. There was a lot of fear in the transition of training and teaching. So I made it my business to train and not withhold any information, and be open to questions, to be open to continuous growth. And then now I also created a nucleus with my team where each guy also leans on each other. So as opposed to everybody, like in the beginning when I first started doing this, everybody was calling me. So I still was just a job. My job now was to partially be out in the field. The other job was to answer phones and be on the calls with these guys all day long. Granted, we're living in a technological world and it makes things a lot easier, right? I can Zoom guys on the job. I can walk guys through stuff. But the idea in the end is to remove myself or to remove yourself. So now we have this team and this nucleus where every single person is leaning on each other. We've built such a deep and appreciative team who sticks together and works together. So now we have this thing where this team element takes place, where now I'm not the first call everybody makes. And that doesn't mean I don't answer the phone, and it does not mean the guys don't call me, but I created a system where the guys don't need me all the time. I'm not the first contact point all the time. And now it allows me to be out there meeting this customer, meeting that customer, building this system, working on this thing behind the scenes, and so on and so forth. So again, I always talk about things that are very surface level, but I imagine as you watch this, it's ringing in your head. You're saying, oh, because everybody wants that time when you can kind of take your hands off the wheel a little bit. But I also thrive on my customer relations with people, and part of having those relations is I'm never going to really remove myself 100% from the business. But that does not mean that when the opportunity comes where maybe somebody comes in and wants to buy the company, that it isn't going to be turnkey for them, even if I have to stay on for a period of time and make the transition smooth, which happens a lot. But at the end of the day, all you need to understand is you have to infuse yourself in the beginning, but then you really got to put the energy and efforts into making sure that you're putting the teachings and the time into your team so your team can pretty much become you. Now, you're never going to get a guy to be 100% you. You are unique. You operate the way you do, and it's your baby. So same thing with me. I can train guys all day long. I have really good guys, but none of them are ever going to be 100% me. The best you can ask for is like 70 to 75% of the things that you bring to the table that somebody else is going to be willing to bring to the table. But as long as you get that, and now you can do this and repeat that process, right? It's all rinse and repeat. And at first, it's really not that it's hard, it's just time consuming. You have to have the patience and the willingness to take the time, be out in the field, take guys under your wing, teach them, and help them grow. So at the end of the day, I hope you got something from this, man. I really do. I put a lot of time and effort and thought into some of these subjects because I think they're the things that really help me move the needle forward in my business. And at the end of the day, that's what these trainings and these teachings, these conversations are all about. And it's something I think you should dig your heels into, especially in the blue collar space. And at the end of the day, it's all about bringing new people in and also giving a really good experience. Because as long as you're providing a good experience for your team, then your team's going to put out for you. So I hope you guys got something from this, man. As usual, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button. Help that algorithm. We really do appreciate it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop them down below. I am personally the one who goes in and answers each and every question and conversation that you guys start in the comment section, and which greatly appreciated. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Keep kicking ass, keep growing your business. I hope you keep doing your thing. Have a great day. Peace.